I didn't know how to make that transition from broker to an investor.
Is it fair to say that a lot of your investors are starting to ask you what's next?
Starting. Yeah. No, it's, yeah,
Right. I mean, we hear all the time in our current market environment, the deals are taking longer, they're slower. But this is an instance where you executed on a strategy and business plan, went full cycle from acquisition to disposition in 13 months in a product type that's not favored in a tough market, in a tertiary tough market.
It sounds so easy, doesn't it? I think the biggest thing people ask, like, okay, well, what about how you get the loan, how you get the money? That used to be my biggest problem, and I have completely flipped that. I'm telling you, Brad, I thought I knew more than I did. I didn't know until I got into a deal. Having a coach or mentor is just, it's so important. This investment would not have turned out the way it did had I not had the guidance, no question.
Is there ever a perfect time?
I would say to anyone who's saying it's not the right time, you're already missing the opportunities because you're not getting out there. I made an offer that made sense for me, and guess what? They accepted it. I want to say a big thank you to giving me the opportunity to get to where I wanted to be without knowing everything it took to get here.
I really can't wait to see what you do next. Brad Ahrens with CRA Investor Coach. Welcome back to another success series. Super excited to introduce you guys to Brett Visintainer with Compass Capital. If you wouldn't mind just taking a couple of minutes and sharing a little bit about your background, how you got into investing.
So I'm based in Fresno, California, and I left Newmark back in 17, started my own investment brokerage. For the last 7 years, we've become one of the largest investment brokerage firms here in the Central Valley. In doing so, I've been working with a lot of investors. We've done up over $850 million in sales. So a lot of experience, and some of my big value add clients I've been very involved with from start to finish. When you see more and more deals, you start understanding more, and you want to get involved from a standpoint of investing yourself. I did a couple investments where I went and I bought a building I'm currently in, renovated the whole thing, was able to turn around, refi, pull out 100% of my initial investment. So I was able to do one of those deals on my own. Went and bought another building, was able to flip that and turn around and got out of that in a short period. So, you know, I always knew that once I started doing investment real estate, I wanted to find myself on the principal side. And once you do a couple deals on your own, you almost, well, I know for me, I want to keep getting bigger and learning more. So therefore, you know, I built Compass Capital where I can start going out and buying larger properties and bringing in, if it's friends, family, other investors that don't have that opportunity to get into commercial real estate with somebody they trust. So the whole vision and idea was to build Compass Capital to give these people opportunities to invest. If it's $50,000, $100,000, whatever it may be, but taking my knowledge and things I've learned through the years and building this new company while the brokerage is able to run itself. So that's where I am right now in the background of investing and Compass Capital and so forth.
So to clarify, how long ago did you start the brokerage division?
That would have been October of 2017.
So in 7 years, you grew it to $850 million of transaction volume?
And sales across the country, just investment sales, no leasing.
Now, historically, have you invested as a passive investor?
No, I have not. I didn't know how to make that transition from broker to an investor. So I had not been involved in an LP situation, definitely not a GP. I really only understood how to do a deal on my own, use my own capital and use my knowledge to get me through the situation. But I knew that's not sustainable at the scale I wanted to get to.
I guess an interesting comment is, so always been on the capital markets investment brokerage side, have invested passively in others' deals. And then as of late, right, you've made that shift to more of a general partner, you know, direct investments, running your own deals. Just out of curiosity, right, with all the background knowledge on capital markets and investment brokerage to now on the principal side, was it a smooth transition?
I will definitely say I went into this thinking I knew more than I did. I just because I was so used to helping and advising through deals, what I never understood was how much goes into behind the scenes or kind of the under the hood of putting a deal together, raising the money, dealing with the loan, dealing with all the docs, just the overall process that goes into so much more of the due diligence and the decision making before, after, and so on, that shocked me that I actually did not know as much as I thought I did when it came to investing and especially doing group investments.
You've got a really cool story, especially with, your involvement with CRA Investor Coach. You've got a pretty cool highlight of a deal that you started working on when you started the program.
Yeah. So recently, there's a strategy that we have where what I'm looking for is I want properties, it could be retail, office, industrial, that comes in individual parcels that we buy in bulk. So buy in bulk, sell in retail, say kind of like the Costco theory, right? Hopefully you could sell them for more. We found a 7-building office complex outside of Memphis. The strategy was to go in and fill the vacancy, had quite a bit of construction, which that is another lesson I learned a lot about. We go in there, add the value of doing that. But the biggest thing is that some of those buildings were already ready to be sold. So we would go in, we'd buy this up, put a 75% loan to value, turn around, sell off some of the properties as fast as we could to pay down the loan. And then we would hold the remaining buildings to sell off, hopefully after 12 months, to avoid the short-term gains. The ideal time frame was that 13 months, but we projected 2 years. We bought it for $3.5 million. We had projected about $5.3 million exit on the 7 buildings. And we were at a project level, we were at a 20% IRR, which would return an average of 18% cash on cash to the investors. So after we did everything, we were way ahead of schedule. We were able to return capital back to our investors within, I want to say, I think it was like 5 or 6 months, about 62% back to them, paid off the loan within 4 or 5 months. And the interesting part was we were able to show losses on everyone's K1s because of the amount of TIs we did. So people weren't having to pay those short-term gains. And we ended up selling the last 2 buildings in the 13th month. So we sold and got out of the property in almost half the time. And we were able to achieve up over a 60% IRR, which brought in the low 30% cash on cash to the investors. So we were able to, luckily, we outperformed in time and return. So it turned out to be a very good investment. We sold all of the buildings over 700,000 in projected, which was over $6 million. Overall, we were able to hit on all metrics that we were shooting for, and it turned out to be a very good investment for everyone involved.
Yeah, I would say so. There's a couple of things that I just want to touch on. So you mentioned Memphis, but it was actually a tertiary market of Memphis.
Yeah, I was outside Memphis by about 30 minutes. So very, very, very tertiary.
So tertiary market, a product type that is not currently favored by most investors, right? Office. So you acquired it for 3.5. Yep. Game plan was to hold it for 24 months, do some slight renovation work, fill the vacancies or extend the leases on existing tenants.
Yep.
And 24-month hold. You actually returned capital in month 7?
It was it was right around 6. We were able to return 62% of our investors' capital.
Okay. But I guess because of how your cash flows go, how soon were you able to pay off your loan?
Oh, the loan was the big one. The loan, I think we paid off in less than 4. It was about 4 months.
Less than 4 months. And you had something like 75% loan to cost?
Yeah. So we were at 75% loan to value. And we borrowed for that kind of loan. We were borrowing, it was around, I think we ended up at 10.5% interest rate, interest only.
So 10.5% interest, 75% LTV. You guys paid it off in month 4, 62% of your investor capital in month 6.
Yeah.
You guys exited the deal in month 13, 11 months ahead of schedule, and projected returns initially were in the low 20s, and you guys ended up generating over a 60% IRR
project
for investors.
60% project level. Yes.
I mean, almost at every turn of the wheel between paying off debt, returning equity, starting to make distributions was well ahead of schedule. And I think what's even crazier is, right, I mean, we hear all the time in our current market environment, the deals are taking longer, they're slower. But this is an instance where you executed on a strategy and business plan, went full cycle on a deal from acquisition to disposition in 13 months in a product type that's not favored in a tough market, in a tertiary tough market.
Yeah. It sounds so easy, doesn't it?
It's not so easy.
No.
Did you happen to have any help?
If I didn't have the help, we never would have got off the ground, and that's the thing. A lot of what I did was I did things the way I thought of as a broker. There were things I did so backwards that a lot of my lessons I learned from it, it's like I could almost write a book about all the things I did wrong compared to the things that went right, but I think that's where the experience of the investment background, having the qualities that I have with once the acquisition was finalized and the hold and making decisions, that's when the really the innate part of what I do on an everyday really kicked in to help get us there. But yeah, if I didn't have the help in the beginning from what you did, there's no question that this thing not only would have cut off the ground, but would have got through all the things that you don't account for that happen.
Yeah, well, I got to tell you, I'm really proud of what I've seen you accomplish in the last 12 to 16 months. Not only how great of a job you've done in grasping, right, concepts. I mean, you and I have had a lot of conversation, over the last year and a half. I love it how on concepts that maybe you don't understand, you would challenge me, you'd ask questions, and then ultimately, we kind of set you on that path. And I think one thing that's really cool that I can't wait to see from you is now that you've got this first one under your belt, you're starting to gain some traction with your investors. You've got a following. Is it fair to say that a lot of your investors are starting to ask you what's next?
Starting. Yeah. No,
yeah. Right.
Yes. No, a lot of them are wondering, okay, when's the next deal? What are we doing next? And for me, it's like you don't realize as a broker or maybe as an LP, everything that goes into behind the scenes. And there's that part where you're like, oh my God, like I want to take a step back real quick. But you do have that part where you're like, okay, let's go to the next one. Let's take everything I learned. Let's do it better on the front end, especially. Let's take the lessons and build on those, because there's not a better lesson than doing it. And having a good mentor like you, it allows you to speed up the process and get away from a lot of the mistakes, because a lot of the mistakes we avoided were because of the prep and the guidance you had to help. But then the mistakes that happen, not mistakes, but the things that occur during the investment, you have somebody to bounce off what to do and how to get around this and strategies and so on, because it's something it's easier to learn from other people's success and not your own failure.
100% agree. I mean, I'm in the same boat. I've had mentors, coaches for the last 24 years, 24, 25 years. Yeah, you can't really put a dollar amount on lessons learned from someone else that can help you avoid those same pitfalls.
Yeah, and honestly, the thing too is you realize how quickly it adds up on things that you would change and things that you would do again. Like I learned I really don't like construction. I learned I would make sure a line item is in there for a project manager or somebody to help go through that. Paying somebody more on the front end of even more due diligence, have an engineer, and paying people who are experts, and if it's a coach, if it's a profession, if whatever it may be, to protect everyone, it's so valuable. And even becomes a new line item. I've asked some of my investors, if it went from a 21 down to a 19 because I brought in more people to help protect all this, do you care? And the answer is no. Okay. So I think that's a big part where my next investment, there's going to be more advisors that are helping me through a lot of this. If there's construction, if there's engineering, obviously if there's any type of deal, I'm going to have a mentor there with me as well. Accountants, attorneys. To me, these are costs that I've learned so much over the last year of how important those are, and they should not be looked away from, because all these people are the ones that really protected me through this deal.
I think we know someone who wrote a book, Knowing Isn't Doing. how important having a team and support behind you is at every turn of the wheel.
It's huge. A team is everything. It is everything. And the funny thing, a team, it could be just you and a coach, or you and a mentor, somebody who can just walk you through things. That's a team, because doing it on my own, there's no question in my mind, this investment would not have turned out the way it did had I not had the guidance. No question.
You've been in the industry for a long time on the brokerage front, passive investor, active investor. Now knowing what you know, if someone was to ask you, either just starting out, mid-level, or, a seasoned investor, what advice would you give someone who's interested in investing, or even possibly considering joining CRE Investor Coach as a member?
The first thing is figuring out what type of investing you want to do. How much time do you have? Because I think there's a lot of people who want to go in and be a GP and want to go in and build an investment company and be more involved in that. But the amount of time it takes and the energy and effort and the money that you really are investing to get the right team in place is so important that there's a lot of people you find that, there's a lot more people out there that want to be limited partners and passive investors. I would say that if somebody's going to put the time in and understand the big picture that you're investing in yourself, that you should 100% go find a mentor, find somebody to help you through the process. If you're going to do this the right way, you have to have people backing you to teach you and get through the investment to protect your investors. It's not about you. I think if you have the right mentor coach and you want to do everything the right way with your ethics, values, making right decisions, not getting carried away with assumptions, and you have the time to put in, then you really have the ability to build whatever you want from an investment standpoint. But it all starts with the time and what your vision is. And then from there, if you're going to be an LP, that's fine. But if you're going to be a GP, you really need to invest in yourself and have somebody with you. I'm telling you, Brad, I thought I knew more than I did. Until I got in it, I realized how much more valuable you were. Not saying I didn't always think you were valuable. I didn't know until I got into a deal or an opportunity how valuable the underwriting was, building out the models. There's so much that goes into a deal that having a coach or mentor is just, it's so important.
What would you say to someone, let's say they've got the time, they've got the ability, they've got a desire to be a GP, actually run their own investments, but they say, I'm not going to do it because the timing's not right? This is market cycle's funky. What would you say to someone who is hesitant to proceed based on, whatever market condition we're in?
You might as well go be an LP. You have to be out there. I've made, I think we're almost 20 offers so far this year. And, I get it. They're not all hitting. None of them hit so far, just because of pricing, and the things are changing rapidly. But, if you're not trying and you're not getting out there, you have no chance to really understand even the offering process, understanding what it takes to underwrite the property. That part alone, just every deal you have to underwrite and learn why a deal works or doesn't work, understanding why your hurdle rate is what it is, what LPs are going to get, what a project level, just understanding that and submitting offers and holding to what your return is. It forces you to start learning. And then when you do get a deal, you've held to your reasoning, why you're getting it. So I would say to anyone who's saying it's not the right time, you're already missing the opportunities because you're not getting out there. Perfect example, this deal I bought, they wanted to sell all 11 buildings. And I went to them with a creative solution that I didn't want all 11. I'll buy 7 of them. And by being creative, and if I looked at it just from the surface level, I would have said, no, this doesn't work. It's a bad time. It's not a good time to get in an office. But what I did was I made an offer that made sense for me. And guess what? They accepted it. Yep. So I don't think market conditions, anything like that should deter somebody from trying to get in and make opportunities work. You have to understand your underwriting and try to make offers that fit what your rate of return you're trying to achieve is.
Let's just hypothetically say someone's waiting for that perfect time. We've both been doing this long enough. Is there ever a perfect time?
No, there's no.
And most of the time, perfect time is in your rear view mirror.
My financial advisors told me a story about if you're sitting there and you want to go launch a rocket and you're waiting for the perfect time, you know, oh, it's like, oh, it's too windy to the left. This wind is it's going to push it to the right. At some point, you just got to launch the rocket, see where it goes, adjust it, relaunch it. You know, if you're not constantly launching rockets, you're never going to launch. It's like, it's simply the same way that it's never the right time because no one knows what that means. Yeah, when everything's easy, everyone's making investing look great. But at the end of the day, that's how a lot of people get hurt too.
And I think part two, it's important to touch on that, you know, once you hit go, right? Was it instantaneous or did it take some time to understand markets, understand your strategy, what you want to do?
It does take time. Just building a pitch deck, just understanding what you're doing, building your model. There's so much that goes into the preparation. I tell my guys, if you don't understand what an opportunity is, then when one comes across, you won't even recognize it. So if you're not prepared for it and you haven't taken the time to get yourself in a position to where you can make offers, understand why you're making it, put all your things together, get in a row, then yeah, it's not going to just it all fall in place.
Great advice for the team for sure. What's next? What's the future hold for you and Compass Capital?
Just hired 2 guys. I'm bringing them on because the biggest thing is deals. And I can't, with one person also having the brokerage, I'm not seeing enough deals. I say, you know, I've made 20 offers. That may sound like a lot, but I think it should be, you know, 10 times that. For me to bring in people for acquisitions, so I can start seeing more deals go directly to owners of properties that fit my model. That's a big part. My goal for 25, I want to see that Compass can do between $30 and $50 million of acquisitions. The deal flow is the thing that is hurting me the most. So by bringing in 2 people for acquisitions, help me build the company. And from there, you know, really working on building the team, it's nothing but up. And, you know, you asked about the market. The market's not impacting me one way or the other. I'm driving forward, building the team to be ready for when something comes to us. I'm really looking forward to see how Compass grows and continue to help more investors.
And I got to say, right, as a coach for you, super proud of what you've accomplished thus far, but I really can't wait to see what you do next. Mainly because we also have a sneak peek in a lot of what's going on behind the scenes. And I think you're in, you know, a strategy that can continue to flourish. I think as you guys analyze additional markets, maybe a little bit closer to home.
Yeah.
Couple. Yeah. We interviewed one of your investors a couple days ago, and he couldn't have said more complimentary things about you and the opportunity. And frankly, just can't wait to invest in the next one.
It's exciting though to go in and having that viewpoint of that confidence. And that's what I think some people don't understand is when you have a coach or mentor that's had success and they want you to be successful, it's, you know, the way that you obviously, you know, talk about me and towards me and to me, it just gives you that confidence that you could take on any deal. Because I think the biggest thing people ask, like, okay, well, what about how you get the loan, how you get the money? And that used to be my biggest problem. I used to wonder, okay, how am I going to do this? And I have completely flipped that because I have so much confidence now behind me with you as my coach and mentor that I know that, hey, if I bring a good deal to the table, guess what? The money will come. We will figure out the financing. And that's been a big paradigm shift for me going through this program, is not to worry about those things and go find the deal, do the good underwriting, put the great plan in place, have the right team behind you. All the other stuff will fall in line.
It's just been awesome working with you over the last year and a half. Like,
yeah, you've saved my ass. I can say that. Sorry.
That's all right. That's all right.
No, thank you. I think that's, and all my investors don't know, but to say thank you as well. I mean, because no chance any of this would happen without your guidance. And so, no, I want to say a big thank you to giving me the opportunity to get to where, you know, I wanted to be without knowing everything it took to get here.
Yep.
Surprise. Yeah.
Surprise. You are welcome. Yeah. So for everyone listening in, if you guys want to learn more about Brett Visintainer and his group, Compass Capital, there will be a link in the description below pointing you guys to his website. Learn more, right? Talk to Brett. They're always looking for deals. They're always looking for new investors. So maybe there's an opportunity for you guys to work together. If you want to learn more about CRE Investor Coach and what we can do for you, check us out online, creinvestorcoach.com. Do your research, download some free information, schedule that discovery call. Our team is standing by to learn more about you, your goals and objectives, and ultimately how we could be a part of that journey. So take some action, get off the sidelines, and get going, just like Brett did. So Brett, once again, thanks buddy for being with us today. I know you're super busy, but really appreciate you taking a moment just talking about your story and kind of what's next.
Yeah, thank you. All right, see you, Brad.
Perfect. Thank you.